The alien queen chose a human mechanic, then ordered the galaxy to kneel. The trade station Drift 9 floated in quiet orbit around a dying red star. It was old, patched together from parts that no empire wanted anymore, but it survived because humans lived there. Humans fixed what others abandoned. They stayed where others left. Evan Cole worked alone in a narrow repair bay, his hands black with grease, his shirt torn at the shoulder. A cargo hauler sat open in front of him, its engine humming unevenly. The ship's owner had been told it was finished. Evan had heard that before. He leaned closer, listening not to the machine itself, but to the pattern of its failure. Machines always spoke. Most people just did not know how to listen. He adjusted a manual override and the engine steadied for a moment. Evan smiled slightly. That was when the station lights flickered. At first, Evan thought it was another power drop. Drift 9 had many of those. Then the gravity shifted, subtle but wrong. Tools rattled. Warning tones echoed through the station halls. Evan stepped out of the bay and looked through the viewport. The stars were gone. In their place hung shadows. Massive shapes blocked the red sun, sharp and elegant and terrifying. Warships. Not one or two, but dozens. Their hulls reflected no light, their presence alone crushing the station's sensors. Every frequency came alive at once. Panic, orders, silence. The Jarethi Dominion had arrived. Across the galaxy, that name meant conquest, obedience, and extinction for those who resisted. Their queen ruled for centuries, her fleets breaking entire civilizations without mercy. Drift 9 had no defenses, no warning system strong enough to matter. The station could only wait. An alien voice cut through the chaos, translated into flat, emotionless human speech. All movement will cease. All life will remain calm. Resistance will result in termination. Evan exhaled slowly. So this was how it ended. Minutes later, Dominion soldiers boarded the station. They moved like living weapons, tall and narrow, armor fused to their bodies. Their eyes scanned everything with cold precision. Evan did not run. He never ran. He wiped his hands on a rag and stood where he was when they entered the bay. One of the soldiers looked at the half-repaired engine, then at Evan. "You are the mechanic," the translator said. "I fix things," Evan replied, "if they let me." The soldier studied him for a long moment. Then, without explanation, it raised a device and spoke again. "You are ordered to comply. The Queen has summoned you." Evan frowned. "Me?" The soldier did not answer. Evan was escorted through the station, past frightened faces pressed against walls, past traders and refugees who would remember this moment forever. No one spoke as he was taken aboard the Dominion flagship. The ship was vast beyond reason. Its corridors were alive, surfaces shifting with faint light. Everything was clean, perfect, and wrong. Evan felt it immediately. The ship was sick. The air vibrated with strain. Systems hummed too loudly, as if forcing themselves to keep working. This was not a healthy machine. This was a dying one pretending not to be. He was brought into a chamber that opened like a throne room. At its center stood the Queen. She was taller than any soldier, her presence heavy, her eyes ancient. She did not sit. She stood as if the ship itself supported her will. "This is the human," she said. Her voice did not need translation. It settled directly into the mind, sharp and cold. Evan swallowed but held her gaze. "Yes," he said, "I'm human." "You were chosen because all others failed," the Queen said. "My engineers could not stop the decay of this vessel. You will try. If you fail, you will die." Evan nodded once. "Fair enough." That response caused a ripple through the chamber. Confusion, interest, disbelief. "You do not ask why you were chosen," the Queen said. "Doesn't matter," Evan replied. "Something's broken. Either I fix it or I don't." The Queen watched him closely. "You will be taken to the core," she said. "Begin." The engine core was unlike anything Evan had ever seen, yet familiar in all the ways that mattered. Energy flowed like blood. Control systems wrapped around it like nerves. And at its center was a flaw, not damage, not sabotage. A mistake. The Dominion had designed their engines to obey tradition, not reality. They layered control over control, afraid to let any system act freely. The result was instability, stress building with nowhere to go. Evan laughed softly before he could stop himself. A dozen weapons pointed at him instantly. "You find this amusing," an officer said. "No," Evan replied. "I find it fixable." He moved without waiting for permission, climbing onto the structure, disconnecting systems that screamed warnings in alien code. "You will destroy the core," the officer shouted. "It's already destroying itself," Evan said. "I'm just letting it breathe." The Queen arrived silently, watching as Evan rerouted power manually, bypassing automated safeguards that were choking the engine. "This violates Dominion protocol," an engineer protested. "That's your problem," Evan said. "Protocol doesn't keep ships alive, people do." The core stabilized, the hum softened, the vibration eased. For the first time in weeks, the flagship stopped screaming. Silence filled the chamber. The Queen stepped forward. "You defied every law of our engineering," she said. Evan slid down from the platform, exhausted. "Your laws are scared. Machines shouldn't be scared." The Queen studied the readings herself. "It lives," she said quietly. "Yes," Evan replied, "but barely. You'll need changes, real ones." "You presume to advise the Dominion," an officer snapped. "I presume you don't want to explode," Evan said. The Queen raised one clawed hand. Silence returned instantly. "You are different from your kind," she said. Evan shook his head. "No, I'm exactly like them." "That's why you called me." That answer stayed with her. She ordered Evan given quarters and unrestricted access to the ship's systems. The order shocked her court. As Evan walked away, surrounded by alien stares, one truth became clear. The most feared ship in the galaxy survived because a human refused to accept that it was impossible. And the Queen of the Dominion had noticed. The galaxy would notice soon enough. The Dominion flagship moved again, slow at first, then steady. Its massive hull cut through space with renewed strength, and the vibration that once haunted every corridor faded into a controlled hum. The crew felt it immediately. A ship that had been close to death was now alive but changed. Evan Cole felt it too. He stood inside a secondary engine chamber, sleeves rolled up, tools spread around him. The systems here were quieter but not healthy. They were tense, like soldiers waiting for orders they did not trust. He had been given full access but not trust. Every step he took, alien eyes followed him. Engineers whispered. Guards stayed close, their hands never far from their weapons. The Queen had ordered his protection. That did not mean they liked him. Evan knelt beside a control spine and removed a panel. The design was elegant but trapped by its own rules. Too many locks, too many safety limits stacked on top of each other. Humans would have stripped half of it away. He rerouted a feedback line and felt the system relax. "That adjustment was not authorized," an alien engineer said behind him. Evan did not look back. "It works. It violates balance laws. It prevents failure," Evan replied. "Balance doesn't matter if you're dead." The engineer said nothing more but recorded everything Evan did. Elsewhere in the ship, the Queen watched through silent feeds. She saw his movements, his confidence, his lack of fear. He did not ask permission. He acted. That disturbed her advisors. "This human behaves as if he owns the ship," one officer said. "He behaves as if the ship is worth saving," the Queen replied. Hours later, alarms screamed. Not engine alarms, security alarms. Red light flooded the corridors. Armed units moved fast, sealing sections of the ship. Evan felt the deck shudder beneath his feet. "Not again," he muttered. A blast echoed nearby. The vibration was wrong, controlled, precise. Sabotage. Evan dropped his tools and ran toward the sound. Guards shouted for him to stop, but he ignored them. He knew ships. He knew what that kind of explosion meant. It meant someone wanted the engine to fail slowly. He reached a sealed junction near the primary coolant lines. Smoke leaked through the edges. The door was locked down. "Open it," Evan shouted. "No clearance," a guard replied. Evan slammed his palm against the panel. "If that coolant ruptures, you'll lose half the core. Open it now." The guard hesitated. The deck trembled again. The door slid open. Inside, two alien engineers lay unconscious. A charge blinked on the coolant line, small but deadly. It was designed to fracture the system under load, not explode outright. Evan swore under his breath. He grabbed the charge and tore it free, burning his hands as it discharged energy. He slammed it into a containment unit and sealed it just as it detonated. The chamber went silent. Guards rushed in, weapons raised. Evan sat on the floor, breathing hard, hands shaking. "Someone inside your crew wants this ship to die," he said. The Queen arrived moments later, her presence heavy. "Explain," she commanded. "That device wasn't meant to kill you fast," Evan said. "It was meant to make the engine fail again, quietly, so you'd think it was my fault." Silence followed. The Queen's eyes narrowed. "Who had access to this section?" she asked. The guards exchanged glances. "Only Royal Engineers," one said. The truth hung in the air. That night, 3 officers were arrested. Their loyalty had belonged to a rival faction within the Dominion, one that feared change more than defeat. The Queen ordered them removed from command. That order shook the ship. Evan became something dangerous, a variable. The following days were harder. The Queen tested him. She ordered impossible repair schedules. She restricted resources. She changed objectives without warning. Each task was meant to break him, to expose limits. Evan adapted. When denied proper tools, he built his own. When systems were locked, he found alternate paths. When crews resisted his methods, he taught them by doing the work himself. Slowly, alien engineers began to watch instead of argue. They saw results. Systems stabilized. Power output improved. Emergency failures dropped. The ship became faster, stronger, more reliable. That scared them. Evan noticed the tension. He felt it in the way conversations stopped when he entered a room, in the way guards stood closer. One cycle, the Queen summoned him privately. The chamber was smaller this time, darker, no court, no witnesses. "You have altered my ship," she said. "Yes," Evan replied. "So it won't kill you. You have disrupted command hierarchy." "I fix problems," Evan said. "People are part of the system." The Queen studied him. "Your species lacks unity," she said. "You have no empire, no queen, no singular will, yet you endure." "We don't wait for permission to survive," Evan said. "That's it." She stepped closer. "You place survival above obedience." "Every time," Evan replied. The Queen turned away, considering. "Our people believe order creates strength," she said. "You believe strength creates order." Evan shrugged. "Order that breaks under pressure isn't strength." The Queen was silent for a long moment. "Remain aboard," she said. "Continue." As Evan left, he realized something dangerous. She was listening. That same cycle, Dominion sensors detected movement near the outer systems. Enemy fleets, not attacking yet, watching, waiting. Word had spread. The Queen's flagship had survived failure. Rumors said a human was responsible. In the shadows of space, rival powers planned. Inside the ship, Evan prepared. He began training crews in human-style damage control. Small teams, redundant systems, rapid response. Many resisted. "This is inefficient," an officer argued. "It's alive," Evan replied. "That's the difference." During a simulation, Evan intentionally triggered a system failure. Panic spread. Alien crews froze, waiting for commands. The system collapsed. Then Evan ran it again with human methods. Teams moved. They improvised. They bypassed controls. The system held. The room was silent afterward. Something changed that day. The ship no longer saw Evan as just a mechanic. He was a threat to the old way, and the Queen knew it. Far from Drift 9, the galaxy shifted its attention. Humanity had been invisible, now it was noticed. And not everyone was pleased. The warning came without drama. No alarms screamed, no lights flashed red. The Dominion flagship simply received a message, short and cold, transmitted on every known frequency at once. A coalition fleet was forming, not one enemy, many. They did not announce war. They did not threaten. They did not need to. Their silence said enough. They had watched the Queen's ship survive when it should have died. They had heard whispers of a human changing Dominion systems. To them, this was weakness. Weakness had to be crushed early. The Queen stood on the command deck, staring at the star map as new signals appeared one by one. Each marker represented a fleet that once feared her and now smelled opportunity. Her officers waited for orders. None came. Evan Cole was deep inside a maintenance spine when the ship shifted course. He felt it through his boots, a subtle change in momentum that told him everything. "We're heading into trouble," he muttered. A young engineer nearby looked up. "How do you know?" "Ships don't turn like that unless someone is thinking about running or fighting," Evan said. "And this one isn't running." He wiped his hands and moved fast. The Queen called a full council for the first time since Evan had boarded the ship. The chamber filled with tension, old pride, and fear carefully hidden behind rigid posture. "The Coalition believes we are vulnerable," the Queen said. "They will strike before we can recover fully." "Our fleet is unprepared," an officer argued. "We should retreat to core space." "We should purge the human influence," another said. "Restore doctrine." Silence fell when the Queen raised her hand. Evan stood at the edge of the chamber, not invited to speak. He listened anyway. Retreat would not save them. Doctrine would kill them. The Queen turned her gaze toward him. "Human," she said, "you have remained silent." Evan hesitated. Every eye turned toward him, many filled with open hostility. "You want the truth," he said carefully. "Or what feels safe?" The question alone caused outrage. But the Queen did not react. Truth, she said. If you fight like you used to, Evan said, you'll lose. They've studied you. They know your patterns. They're counting on you doing what you always do. And your solution, an officer snapped, is chaos. Evan shook his head. Adaptation. The word felt heavy in the room. Evan stepped forward. You've got ships that are tough but rigid, he said. They don't bend, they break. Humans survive because we bend first. We don't wait for perfect plans, we respond. You ask us to abandon centuries of command, an officer said. I'm asking you to stay alive, Evan replied. The Queen studied him for a long moment. What would you do, she asked, if this ship were yours? Evan took a breath. I'd stop pretending it's invincible, he said. I'd prepare it to take hits and keep fighting anyway. I'd train crews to think, not wait. The chamber was silent. The Queen made her choice. Human Evan Cole, she said, you are appointed Chief Systems Advisor until this conflict ends. The reaction was explosive. This violates law, voices shouted. This is unacceptable. The Queen did not raise her voice. Obey, she said, and they did. The next cycles were chaos. Evan pushed the ship hard. He rewrote response protocols. He broke crews into smaller units. He forced simulations that failed again and again until people stopped freezing. Alien officers hated it, but the ship improved. When the first coalition scouts arrived, they expected a slow response. They did not get one. The flagship powered weapons while rerouting energy through damaged conduits without shutting down. It took hits that would have crippled it weeks ago and kept moving. Across the fleet, Dominion ships copied the changes. Improvised repairs, flexible formations. Ships covering each other instead of rigid lines. The coalition hesitated. That hesitation cost them. The first real battle was brief and violent, not glorious, not clean. Dominion ships lost armor, systems failed, crews were injured, but they did not retreat. They adapted mid-fight. Evan coordinated damage control from a cramped command node, his voice steady as he directed teams through collapsing sections. Seal that bulkhead. Bypass the control lock. Yes, I know it says no. Do it anyway. An engineer hesitated. If I override. You'll live, Evan said. Trust me. The override worked. The ship survived. The coalition fleet pulled back, confused and damaged. Victory was not complete, but it was enough. Word spread fast. The Dominion was not breaking, and humans were involved. After the battle, the Queen walked through damaged sections of the ship. She saw crews working together without waiting for orders. She saw alien hands following human instructions written in plain language on temporary displays. She saw survival replacing pride. That night, Evan was offered evacuation. A human transport had slipped into the area, risking everything to extract him. You have done enough, the captain told him over a secure channel. If this turns worse, they'll blame you. Evan looked around the engine chamber. Scorched walls, tired faces. They're not ready without this, he said. You don't owe them, the captain said. Evan thought of Drift 9, of humans ignored until needed. No, he said, but I'm not leaving. He closed the channel. The next coalition strike was larger. This time, Evan knew it was coming. He prepared traps. He rerouted power flows to mask real damage. He allowed minor systems to fail loudly, drawing enemy focus. He let the ship look weaker than it was. When the coalition committed fully, the Dominion fleet struck from unexpected angles, ships moving in broken patterns that made no sense to traditional tactics. The battle lasted hours. At one point, the flagship lost main sensors. Old doctrine would have ordered retreat. Evan ordered crews to use visual markers and shared data manually. Messy, slow, it worked. When the coalition finally broke, they did so in panic. They had faced something new, not a stronger empire, a stubborn one. Afterward, the Queen summoned Evan again. You refused extraction, she said. Yes, Evan replied. Why? Because running wouldn't fix the problem, Evan said. It would just delay it. The Queen considered this. You have changed my fleet, she said. You have fractured my court. You have invited greater war. Evan met her gaze. You were already at war, he said. You just didn't know it. The Queen turned toward the viewport where damaged but living ships drifted in formation. For centuries, she said, others knelt because they feared us. She looked back at him. Now they hesitate because they do not understand us. Evan said nothing. The Queen made a declaration that echoed across every Dominion channel. The human remains, she said, by my command. That order divided the Dominion, but it also saved it. Far across the galaxy, powers that once ignored humanity began reassessing old assumptions. If one human mechanic could do this, what could humanity become? The question spread faster than any fleet. The war did not slow down after the second battle. It grew teeth. The coalition learned quickly. They stopped charging in large groups and began attacking supply lines, repair stations, and civilian convoys connected to the Dominion. They avoided direct confrontation and focused on bleeding the fleet slowly. It was smart. It was cruel. The Dominion had always fought clean wars, ship against ship, force against force. This was different. This was pressure, fear, exhaustion. Evan Cole felt it everywhere. He moved constantly now from ship to ship, often sleeping in short bursts wherever he could. His hands were always burned, bruised, or shaking from fatigue. Every day brought a new failure, a new emergency, a new crew that needed to learn how not to panic. He did not complain. Humans rarely did when survival was on the line. The Queen watched the toll it took on him. She did not comment, but her orders changed. Escorts followed him. Medical staff checked him whether he asked or not. The court noticed. Whispers spread. The human is protected. The human is favored. Some said it with fear, others with anger. Then came the attack that changed everything. A coalition strike force bypassed the front lines entirely and jumped into a civilian system under Dominion protection. Habitats, trade stations, non-combatants. The message arrived moments later. Withdraw or they would begin destruction. The command deck froze. Old Dominion law was clear. Civilian losses were acceptable if the Empire survived. Retreat was weakness. Mercy invited rebellion. Several officers turned toward the Queen, waiting for the expected order. Evan was there. He read the data once and felt something tighten in his chest. Those stations don't have defenses, he said quietly. They'll be gone in minutes. They are not military assets, an officer replied flatly. We cannot risk the fleet. Evan looked at the Queen. They're people, he said. Silence followed. The Queen's claws tightened slowly at her side. For the first time since Evan had met her, hesitation crossed her face. Tradition pulled one way, reality pulled another. If she diverted forces, the coalition could exploit the opening and strike the heart of the Dominion. Billions could die. If she did nothing, the galaxy would watch her abandon her own. Evan stepped forward. This is the moment, he said. This is what they're testing. You ask me to endanger everything, the Queen said. I'm asking you to decide what everything means, Evan replied. The words settled deep. The Queen turned to her officers. Prepare a rapid response, she said. We will protect the civilians. The reaction was immediate. This breaks doctrine. This invites collapse. The Queen raised her voice, something she had never done before. Enough! The fleet moved. Evan worked non-stop as ships jumped hard, pushing engines past safe limits. Systems overheated, hulls strained. He stayed on the flagship, coordinating repairs in real time, rerouting power as damage reports flooded in. The civilian system was chaos when they arrived. Coalition ships were already firing on habitats, precise strikes meant to terrorize, not annihilate. The Dominion fleet did not form its usual formation. It spread out, fast. Ships placed themselves between enemy fire and civilian structures. Shields flared, hulls burned. Evan watched a Dominion cruiser take a hit that tore through its side. It did not retreat. Damaged teams swarmed the breach. The ship stayed in position, absorbing fire meant for others. Human tactics. The coalition did not expect it. They tried to escalate, but the Dominion pressed harder, fighting defensively, not to win space, but to protect lives. It worked. The coalition withdrew, frustrated and damaged, leaving the system intact. Across the galaxy, the message spread faster than any official broadcast. The Queen had chosen her people over dominance. Some praised her. Others saw weakness. Within the Dominion, dissent exploded. Several high-ranking commanders refused orders. A sector fleet broke away, declaring the Queen compromised by human influence. Civil war loomed. Evan learned of it while repairing a fractured power conduit. He closed his eyes for a long moment. This is my fault, he said quietly. A nearby engineer shook their head. Change always breaks something. The Queen summoned Evan that cycle. The chamber felt heavier than before. My empire fractures, she said. They say I have abandoned our way. Evan met her gaze. You've given it a future, he said. Not everyone survives that. You taught my people to question, she said. They do not all choose wisely. That's true everywhere, Evan replied. The Queen studied him. In my history, she said, rulers who inspired division were removed. Evan nodded. I figured. You are not afraid, she observed. I'm tired, Evan said honestly. But no, not afraid. The Queen turned toward the viewport, watching stars slide past. "They will come for you," she said. "Those who oppose me cannot strike me directly yet." "I know," Evan replied. "They will make you the symbol," Evan sighed. "Humans are used to that." The warning came sooner than expected. During a repair operation on a forward shipyard, coordinated sabotage triggered multiple failures at once. Explosions ripped through docking arms, fires spread. Evan was inside when it happened. The blast threw him across the deck. Alarms screamed. Gravity failed. He hit hard and did not get up. Crews pulled him free as systems collapsed around them. Someone sealed a bulkhead just in time. Evan drifted in and out of awareness as they evacuated him. The attack was blamed on Dominion hardliners. The news reached the Queen minutes later. For the first time since ascending the throne, she left the command deck during an active conflict. She stood in the medical bay, watching machines keep Evan alive. His breathing was shallow. His hands were still burned and scarred. This human had changed her empire. And nearly died for it. When Evan finally woke, the ship was quiet. The Queen was there. "You live," she said. "Yeah," Evan whispered. "Annoyingly." The corner of her mouth shifted slightly, almost a smile. "They tried to kill you," she said. "Guess I made an impression," Evan replied. "They wish to force me to choose," she said, "between you and my throne." Evan closed his eyes briefly. "Then don't choose me," he said. "Choose what lasts." The Queen's voice hardened. "You do not command me." "No," Evan agreed. "But I know people, empires too. If you go back now, everything breaks, worse than before." The Queen remained silent for a long time. When she spoke, her words carried weight far beyond the room. "I will not retreat," she said. "Not from them, not from this." Outside the medical bay, orders spread. Rebel fleets were declared enemies of the Dominion, not for disobedience, for endangering civilians. It was a line that had never existed before. The galaxy watched in shock as the Dominion fought itself, not for power, but for values that had never been written into its laws. Evan recovered slowly, returning to work before doctors approved it. He coordinated from a chair, then from a console, then standing again. The war entered its final phase. The coalition weakened as internal conflicts drained the Dominion, but also reshaped it. The Queen's authority no longer rested on fear alone. It rested on choice, and that terrified her enemies more than any fleet. Far across the stars, alien leaders gathered and whispered the same thing. The human had not just fixed a ship. He had changed what an empire was willing to protect. And once that happened, the galaxy could never return to the way it was. The final confrontation did not begin with weapons. It began with silence. Across the known galaxy, fleets stopped moving. Borders that had burned for cycles went quiet. Trade routes froze. Worlds waited. Everyone knew something was about to end. The coalition was broken but not defeated. Its remaining leaders gathered near the neutral core systems, hiding behind ancient laws and political language. They demanded talks. They demanded concessions. They demanded the removal of human influence from the Dominion. They demanded the Queen kneel. The Queen did not respond immediately. She stood alone on the command deck of her flagship, looking out at the stars. The ship was scarred now, not damaged beyond repair, but marked. Like the people who lived aboard it, Evan Cole stood a short distance away, leaning against a console. He was thinner than before, slower, but his eyes were sharp. "They're scared," he said quietly. "They hide it well," the Queen replied. "They always do," Evan said. "Until it's too late." The Queen turned toward him. "This ends today," she said, "one way or another." The summit was held in open space, projected across every major channel. No secrecy, no closed doors. The galaxy watched. Holographic forms appeared one by one. Coalition leaders, neutral observers, representatives who had once laughed at humanity's insignificance. At the center stood the Queen. She did not sit. "You have accused me," she said, her voice calm and steady, "of corruption, of weakness, of betrayal of tradition." Images flickered, protests, broken fleets, civilian worlds saved. "You claim my empire bends too far," she continued, "that I allowed a human to reshape us." The coalition leader spoke, his tone smooth. "You abandoned balance, you endangered the galaxy." The Queen's eyes hardened. "No," she said, "I revealed it." She gestured, and data flooded the space between them. Casualty reports, civilian losses before and after the change, survival rates, system stability. "You call this chaos," she said. "I call it life." Murmurs spread. The coalition leader sneered. "And the human, what of him? A mechanic elevated beyond his place." Evan felt eyes turn toward him. The queen did not hesitate. "He is the reason my empire still exists," she said. "He is the reason your fleets hesitate now." She stepped forward. "For centuries you knelt because you feared my strength," she said. "Now I order you to kneel because you fear truth." Shock rippled through the channel. "You will kneel," she continued, "not to me alone, but to what the galaxy has ignored: adaptation, resilience, humanity." The coalition leader laughed. "You would place the galaxy beneath humans?" The queen's gaze sharpened. "No," she said, "I place it beside them." She turned toward Evan. "Step forward," she commanded. Evan did. He did not wear armor. He did not carry weapons. He stood in plain clothing, hands scarred, posture relaxed. "This human," the queen said, "was given every reason to flee. He stayed, not for power, not for loyalty, but because broken things deserve fixing." The silence was absolute. "You fear humans," she continued, "because they do not rule by design, they survive by refusal." The coalition tried to interrupt. The queen cut them off. "This ends now," she said. "The Dominion will no longer hunt humanity. We will no longer tolerate those who do." She raised her hand. "And if you choose war," she said calmly, "you will face an empire that no longer breaks when struck." Across the stars, Dominion fleets moved, not threatening, ready. The coalition leaders saw it then, ships positioned defensively, systems reinforced. Crews prepared to endure, not dominate. They saw an empire that could not be easily shattered. One by one, coalition representatives withdrew their threats. Agreements were signed, borders redrawn, sanctions lifted. The war ended not with surrender, but with acceptance. After the summit, the galaxy changed quietly. Human trade stations gained protection. Human engineers received requests from worlds that once dismissed them. Human adaptability became a study subject in alien academies. Humanity was no longer invisible. Within the Dominion, the final rebellion collapsed. Those who opposed the Queen found no support among worlds that had been saved under her new rule. The Queen stood before her people and spoke plainly. "Our empire survives," she said, "because we chose to change." She named Evan Cole her royal consort, not as a symbol, as a partner. The announcement stunned the galaxy. A human mechanic, beside a queen, not ruling, but advising, repairing, questioning. Evan accepted without ceremony. "I'll keep fixing things," he said, "just bigger ones." The queen almost smiled. Years passed. The Dominion became something new, still powerful, still feared, but known now for protection as much as conquest. And humanity rose with it, not through armies, through presence, through stubborn refusal to fail. On Drift 9, now rebuilt and thriving, a statue was erected. Not of a warrior, not of a king, a mechanic, holding tools, watching the stars, because the galaxy learned a simple truth. The alien queen chose a human mechanic, and in doing so ordered the galaxy to kneel. Not in fear, but in respect.